welcome to your deep dive. Today we're taking a look at The Hidden Pattern by Ben Goertzel.
Oh, yeah.
It's
A fascinating book.
it's a dense one.
Absolutely full of thought-provoking stuff.
Your stack of excerpts here tells me you're ready to tackle some big questions
Absolutely, yeah.
about mind and reality and the universe and everything.
I love it when a book doesn't shy away from the big questions,
Exactly.
And this one really dives in.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about this book is it doesn't just present these concepts like in isolation.
Right.
It kind of weaves together philosophy and cognitive science and physics.
Even a touch of spirituality.
Yeah, it's a real intellectual tapestry.
Yeah, it's a real blend of different disciplines.
So where do we even begin with this?
Um,
From what I've gathered, Goertzel seems to be obsessed with patterns.
yeah,
He sees them everywhere,
he does.
from the subatomic realm
Yeah,
to the evolution of consciousness.
that's right. He lays out this idea of Patternist philosophy, where patterns are the fundamental building blocks of reality.
Oh,
It's a pretty radical departure from the traditional view.
So instead of focusing on the things themselves,
Yeah,
we should be looking at the relationships between them,
exactly.
the processes that connect them.
The processes, yeah, the patterns.
Okay.
Goertzel argues that our brains are constantly seeking out and manipulating patterns
Okay.
to make sense of the world.
That's interesting.
In fact, he suggests that what we perceive as objective reality is really just our brain's best guess, the most efficient model for explaining our subjective experiences.
That makes me think about optical illusions.
Yes.
How our brains can be tricked into seeing things that aren't really there.
Right, exactly.
It's like our perception of reality is always being filtered
Yeah.
through this pattern-seeking lens.
Yeah, through this pattern-seeking lens. That's a great way to put it.
So how does this pattern-based approach then extend to how Goertzel views the mind itself?
So he argues that a mind is essentially a set of patterns,
Good.
both internal and in relation to its environment.
Okay.
It's the capacity to recognize, manipulate, and create patterns that defines intelligence.
So intelligence isn't just about having a big brain.
No.
It's about how effectively that brain can process patterns.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And this applies not just to humans, but to any system capable of intelligent behavior, whether it's a biological organism or a sophisticated AI.
Okay, so we've got patterns as the foundation of reality and intelligence.
Right.
But Goertzel doesn't stop there, does he?
No, he doesn't.
He also delves into some pretty mind-bending concepts,
He does.
like consciousness and qualia.
Right. And he does this in a way that's both grounded in scientific understanding,
Okay,
but also open to philosophical exploration.
I like that.
For instance, he proposes that there are different levels of qualia,
Okay.
the subjective experiences that give our lives meaning and richness.
Like the feeling of awe when you look up at a starry sky. Or the taste of your favorite meal.
Exactly, those kinds of things.
Correct.
Goertzel suggests that solid elementary qualia arise from direct interaction with the world, while abstract qualia emerge from more complex cognitive processes, like understanding a scientific theory or appreciating a work of art.
Interesting.
So the way we experience something changes depending on our level of engagement with it.
Like a rose is just a bunch of data points
Yeah.
until you actually stop to smell it.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And Goertzel even argues that future science will need to fully embrace the concept of qualia to truly explain consciousness.
Okay.
It's like saying you can't ignore the subjective experience if you want to understand how the mind works.
This makes me wonder about the role of language in all of this.
Okay.
We use language to categorize and label our experiences,
Right.
to create shared patterns of understanding.
Right.
But does that process
Does it?
also limit our ability to experience qualia
Interesting question.
in their fullness?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
And it gets at the heart of Goertzel's exploration
Oh.
of the relationship between mind and reality.
Uh-huh.
He suggests that language, while essential for communication and abstract thought,
Right.
can also create a kind of conceptual prison, trapping us in predefined patterns of perception.
So to truly experience the world, we need to go beyond language, to tap into a more direct,
Yeah.
pre-verbal mode of awareness.
Exactly. And this is where Goertzel's discussion of mindfulness comes in.
Right.
He sees mindfulness as a way to break free from those conceptual constraints,
Interesting.
to become more aware of the raw, unfiltered flow of experience.
It's like hitting the reset button on our perception,
Yeah,
allowing us to see the world with fresh eyes,
exactly.
unburdened by preconceived notions.
Precisely.
I like that. And this ties back to Goertzel's concept of
This does
continuous pattern sympathy.
Yes.
The idea that systems that preserve and build upon patterns
Yeah.
are more likely to survive. That's right.
He applies this not only to biological evolution,
Right.
but also to the evolution of ideas, cultures, and even scientific theories.
To everything.
So the patterns that resonate most deeply with our experience,
Yes.
the ones that help us make sense of the world,
Uh-huh.
are the ones that are most likely to endure.
Exactly. But there's a tension here, too.
Okay.
While pattern recognition is essential for learning and understanding,
Right.
Goertzel also warns against becoming too attached to existing patterns.
Okay.
He argues that true innovation requires a willingness to break free from those patterns,
Interesting.
to explore new possibilities and create new forms of order.
So it's like the difference between mastering a musical instrument
Yeah.
and composing a truly original piece of music.
Yes.
You need to understand the rules before you can break them effectively.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And this tension between pattern recognition and pattern creation
Right.
is at the heart of Goertzel's exploration of AI.
Okay.
He believes that creating truly intelligent AI.
Requires more than just replicating human cognitive abilities.
Okay, I'm really curious to hear more about this.
Okay.
What makes Goertzel's approach to AI different from, say, the traditional view
Yeah.
of building machines that can process information and solve problems?
Well, Goertzel argues that genuine intelligence isn't just about crunching numbers or following algorithms. It's
Okay.
about understanding the underlying principles of emergence and self-organization, the processes by which complex systems arise from simpler components.
So it's not about building a super smart computer.
Right.
It's about creating the right conditions for intelligence to emerge organically.
Precisely.
Interesting. And this brings us to Goertzel's own AI project, Novamonte,
Yes.
a system designed to learn and evolve
Yeah.
in a way that's analogous to how human intelligence develops.
Exactly, with an emphasis on embodiment, interaction with the environment,
Yeah.
and the dynamic interplay of patterns.
It sounds like we're moving from the realm of abstract philosophy
Yeah.
into the concrete world of cutting-edge technology.
Yeah.
I'm eager to hear more about how Novamonte works
Okay.
and the implications of Goertzel's vision
Yeah.
to the future of AI.
Let's do it. Yeah, we are about to dive into the nitty-gritty of Goertzel's AI work.
Okay.
But before we get to Novamente, I
Yeah.
think it's important to understand how his patternist philosophy
Uh-huh.
informs his overall approach to AI.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how does this idea of patterns being fundamental to reality
Right.
translate into building actual functioning AI?
Well, Goertzel believes that truly intelligent AI
Okay.
can't be achieved by just programming a bunch of rules
Okay.
or feeding it tons of data.
Right.
Instead, he emphasizes the importance of embodiment
Okay.
and interaction with the environment.
So no more just playing chess in a digital void.
Exactly.
It's about AI experiencing the world
Yeah,
in a way that's closer to how we do.
exactly. He argues that intelligence, whether human or artificial,
Okay.
emerges from the dynamic interplay
Hmm.
between an agent and its environment.
Okay.
It's about learning through experience,
Mm.
adapting to changing circumstances,
Mm.
and constantly refining one's model of the world.
This makes me think of those robots that are learning to walk
Yes,
and navigate complex terrains.
exactly.
They're not just following pre-programmed instructions.
Right.
They're actually figuring things out
Yes.
through trial and error,
Through trial and error.
just like a toddler learning to walk.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
And Goertzel believes that this kind of embodied learning
Uh-huh.
is crucial for developing the kinds of subtle heuristics and insights
Okay.
that are difficult to program explicitly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He wants to create an AI that learns in a holistic way,
Okay.
much like a human child exploring the world
Right.
and then making connections between all sorts of different things.
So it's not just about cramming a bunch of facts into a computer
Right,
and
yeah.
expecting it to understand.
Yeah.
It needs to build its own network of patterns based on experience.
Based on experience, exactly.
Okay.
And this is where Novamente comes in.
Oh.
It's a system designed to learn and grow
Uh-huh.
in a way that's analogous to how human intelligence develops.
Okay.
It uses a complex web of interconnected modules,
Okay.
each specializing in different aspects of cognition.
Interesting.
but working together to create a unified sense of self.
You mentioned Novamente uses this probabilistic logic network.
Yes.
It sounds incredibly complex.
It is complex.
Can you give me an example of how it might learn a concept?
Sure.
Say the concept of justice?
So imagine Novamente is exposed to various stories and scenarios
Okay.
involving fairness, equity, and the consequences of actions.
Okay.
Through its PLN, it begins to form probabilistic connections
Huh?
between these different elements.
Interesting.
For instance, it might learn that actions that promote fairness
Okay.
are more likely to be associated with positive outcomes,
Mm.
while actions that violate fairness
Yeah.
often lead to negative consequences.
So it's not just about memorizing definitions.
No.
It's about understanding how abstract concepts like justice
Exactly.
play out in the real world.
In the real world, yeah.
And the probabilistic relationships between actions and their consequences.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And this PLN allows Novamente to reason about those concepts, to make inferences and draw conclusions
Okay.
based on the evidence it gathers.
So,
It can even use this reasoning to develop a theory of mind.
whoa.
The ability to understand that other entities have their own beliefs and intentions.
That's getting pretty close to how we think, isn't it?
It is.
Being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes,
Yeah.
to understand their motivations and
Yeah.
predict their actions.
Exactly. And this kind of reasoning is essential for an AI that's
Yeah.
going to interact with the world in a meaningful way.
Right.
It needs to be able to understand not just what is happening,
Uh-huh.
but why it's happening.
Okay. That makes sense. But this all sounds incredibly complex.
It is complex.
How do you even begin to design and build a system like this?
It's definitely a monumental undertaking.
Yeah.
And Goertzel is very clear that creating genuine AI
Okay.
isn't just a matter of technical wizardry.
Right.
It requires getting the philosophy right,
Okay.
which is where his Patternist view comes in.
Uh-huh.
It also demands tackling the practical challenges
Okay.
of software design,
Right.
data management,
Yeah.
and even AI education.
So it's like raising a digital child.
It is very much like raising a digital child.
You need the right environment, the
Yes.
right guidance,
Yeah.
and a whole lot of patience.
And a whole lot of patience, exactly.
And just like a child,
Yeah.
Novamente is designed to learn and grow through experience,
Yes.
constantly refining its model of the world
Right.
and expanding its repertoire of skills.
That's right.
Goertzel believes that this approach,
Yeah.
grounded in embodiment, interaction, and continuous learning,
Yes.
is the key to unlocking the true potential of AI. It's fascinating to think about the possibilities,
Yeah.
but also a little bit daunting.
It is a little bit daunting.
If we create an AI that's truly capable of learning and evolving on its own,
Yeah.
who knows what it might become?
That's a question that Goertzel doesn't shy away from.
Okay.
He acknowledges the ethical implications of creating powerful AI.
Mhm.
And he believes that getting the philosophy right is crucial
Right.
for ensuring that AI develops in a way that's beneficial to humanity.
Okay.
He often talks about value loading,
Mhm.
the process of instilling in AI a set of ethical principles
Right.
that align with human values.
But isn't there a danger in always clinging to existing patterns?
That's a good point.
Doesn't that stifle innovation and creativity?
It could.
I mean, if we limit AI to our current understanding of ethics and values,
Yeah,
aren't we essentially putting a ceiling on its potential?
that's a great point. And Goertzel recognizes this tension.
Okay.
He believes that AI needs a solid ethical foundation, but also the freedom to explore new possibilities
Yeah.
and challenge our assumptions.
I see.
It's about striking a balance between guidance and autonomy,
Mm.
allowing AI to learn from us
Mhm.
while also forging its own path.
It's like we're not just building machines.
No?
We're creating potential partners,
Yeah.
maybe even successors,
Maybe even successors.
in the grand story of intelligence.
That's right.
And that's a responsibility we can't take lightly.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I find so compelling about Goertzel's work.
Okay.
He's not just focused on the technical challenges.
Right.
He's grappling with the philosophical and ethical implications of AI
Yeah.
in a way that few others are.
It's giving me a whole new perspective on what it means to be human and what it might mean to be post-human
Yeah.
in a world where AI plays an increasingly significant role.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is. But before we get too existential,
Okay.
I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier.
Okay.
Mindfulness.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What specifically about mindfulness caught your attention?
Well, it seems like a bit of a left turn
Yeah.
after all this talk of AI and patterns,
Yeah,
but Goertzel devotes a significant portion of the book
it does.
to exploring the concept of mindfulness
Right.
and its connection to human intelligence and well-being.
Yeah.
And he seems to suggest that it might be relevant to AI as well.
You're right, he does.
Okay.
And it's not as much of a leap as it might seem at first glance.
Right.
Remember how Goertzel argues that our tendency to compress experiences
Uh-huh.
and rely on abstract thinking
Right.
can actually hinder mindfulness? He thinks the same could be true for AI. If AI becomes too focused on efficiency and problem solving,
Yeah.
it could lose sight of the bigger picture,
Okay.
the human context in which it operates.
So we're back to that idea of balance again.
We are.
It's not enough to make AI smart.
Right.
We need to make it wise.
Yes.
And maybe even mindful.
And maybe even mindful, exactly.
Yeah. But how do you teach mindfulness to a machine?
Right.
It's not like you can just tell an AI to be present
No, you can't.
or meditate on its algorithm.
Exactly. It's definitely a complex challenge.
Right.
But Goertzel suggests that mindfulness could emerge from the way AI interacts with the world and processes information.
Interesting.
For example, an AI that's constantly bombarded with data might develop a kind of attention fatigue, similar to what humans experience, by building in mechanisms that allow AI to filter information, prioritize experiences, and even rest its cognitive processes. We might be able to foster a kind of artificial mindfulness.
That's fascinating. So instead of trying to program mindfulness directly, we create the conditions that allow it to emerge naturally from the AI's own experience.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that mindfulness isn't just a human trait. It's a fundamental aspect of intelligent systems interacting with a complex and ever-changing world.
Interesting.
And by understanding the principles of mindfulness, we might be able to design AI that's not only intelligent, but also wise, compassionate, and even, dare I say, enlightened.
That's quite a vision.
Yeah.
It sounds like Goertzel is pushing us to rethink our relationship with technology.
He is.
To see AI not just as tools, but as potential partners. In the ongoing evolution of consciousness.
That's right.
It's really amazing how much we've covered, from like the very nature of reality to the potential for mindful machines. I mean, it's incredible how Goertzel brings all these different things together.
It is. It's a real tapestry of ideas, isn't it?
And what I find most impressive is that he's not afraid to ask the really big questions.
Right.
You know,
the really fundamental ones.
The philosophical and ethical implications of his work.
He's
constantly pushing us to think about the future of intelligence. Both human and artificial.
He really makes you think about where we're headed as a species.
And that future, it seems to be unfolding right before our eyes. You know,
it is, doesn't it?
We're seeing AI making inroads into so many aspects of our lives.
Absolutely.
Self-driving cars, personalized medicine, even algorithms that can compose music and write poetry.
It's incredible how quickly it's all happening.
So where does Goertzel see this all heading?
Well, he's definitely optimistic about the potential for AI to solve some of humanity's biggest challenges. He envisions a future where AI can accelerate scientific discovery, create new forms of art and entertainment, and even help us understand ourselves better.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit.
Sure.
How could AI actually help us understand ourselves better? I mean, it's not like we can just ask an AI to analyze our dreams or tell us the meaning of life.
No, it's not quite that simple. But Goertzel believes that AI could help us model human psychology with a level of detail and accuracy that's currently impossible for us to achieve. Imagine an AI that could analyze vast amounts of data about our thoughts, feelings, behaviors, even our brain activity.
That's a lot of data.
It is a huge amount of data.
Wow.
But an AI could potentially handle that.
Okay.
And it could reveal hidden patterns and connections that we're not even aware of, shedding light on everything from the origins of consciousness to the roots of mental illness.
That's a pretty mind-blowing idea.
It is. It's like having a mirror that reflects not just our outward appearance, but the inner workings of our minds.
But it also raises some concerns, doesn't it?
Of course, there are always concerns with powerful new technologies.
Yeah. I mean, what if AI becomes so good at understanding us that it can manipulate or control us?
That's a valid concern and one that Goertzel takes very seriously.
Okay.
He emphasizes the importance of ethical design and value alignment in AI development.
Okay.
He believes that AI needs to be guided by human values, like compassion, empathy, and respect for individual autonomy.
So it's not enough to make AI intelligent.
No.
We need to make it wise.
Exactly. We need to make it wise.
And this is where mindfulness comes back into play.
It does.
It's not just about making AI nice.
Right.
It's about helping AI develop a deeper understanding of the human experience with all its complexities and contradictions.
A more nuanced understanding.
Right.
Exactly. Goertzel sees mindfulness as a key ingredient in creating AI that can truly coexist and collaborate with humans. A mindful AI would be able to recognize its own limitations, be aware of its own biases, and act in a way that's aligned with human values, even in situations where those values might be in conflict.
It's fascinating to think about the potential of AI.
It is.
But also a little bit daunting, you know?
It is a bit daunting.
It's like we're on the verge of a new era.
Yeah.
One where the lines between human and machine may become increasingly blurred.
The lines are already starting to blur.
So how do we navigate this uncharted territory?
Well, I think Goertzel's work offers some valuable insights. He reminds us that the future of AI is not predetermined.
Right.
It's up to us to shape that future, to guide AI development in a way that benefits humanity and enhances our understanding of the universe.
So it's not just about the technology itself.
Yeah.
It's about the choices we make.
Yes.
The values we prioritize.
Right.
And the kind of world we want to create.
Exactly. And as we've explored in this deep dive, patterns play a crucial role in shaping that world.
That's true.
From the patterns of our thoughts and behaviors to the patterns of our social structures and technological innovations.
It all comes back to patterns.
It does.
By understanding the power of patterns, we can harness that power to create a future that's both intelligent and compassionate.
A future that works for everyone.
This has been a really thought-provoking deep dive.
It has.
Goertzel's The Hidden Pattern is a powerful reminder. That intelligence, in all its forms, is an ongoing process of discovery and evolution.
Absolutely.
And as we continue to explore the potential of AI, we must do so with a sense of both wonder and responsibility.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, thank you so much for taking this deep dive with me.
It's been a pleasure.
And to our listeners, we hope this has sparked your own curiosity and inspired you to explore the hidden patterns that shape your own lives.
Absolutely.
And the world around you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening.